channel? Checking in. On this episode of Dad's Home Gym, we are playing Home Gym Survivor. If you're not familiar with Survivor, it's a TV show. It's been going on for like 30 years now, and they start off with a whole bunch of contestants, and every week, one contestant gets the boot. We are gonna do 5 rounds of kicking home gym equipment out of our home gym. Listen, if this is your first time to the channel, hit the subscribe button. On this home gym series, I typically review a piece of home gym equipment to help you decide, listen, if it's right for your home gym and if it's worth your hard-earned money. Every once in a while, I play fun games to help you decide what's going to be best for your home gym. I happen to personally find these type of mental exercises help me better organize my gym, help me better pick out which pieces of equipment are actually going to get used and which pieces of equipment are just going to collect dust. So let's get started. The two biggest limiting factors when it comes to building your perfect home gym are going to be, you probably screamed out money. And yes, that is a limiting factor, but that's actually the second limiting factor, because over the course of 3 to 5 years, hey, you can raise the funds to buy the equipment that you eventually want to have in your home gym. The number one limiting factor by far for everyone out there is going to be space. Believe it or not, people have a limited amount of space. I know you've been on TikTok, Instagram, all those social media feeds that you see these huge garages. You see these like huge $80,000 gyms that look like they're wide open, that they're track fields. Most people, probably you included, have a limited amount of space, and over the long haul, it gets filled up. So the first piece of equipment getting the boot on my game of Home Gym Survivor is going to be this Titan Fitness functional trainer. Not only did it cost $2,000, which is a big price tag for any of us, and I know you can buy a lot of gym equipment for that $2K value, it takes up a good footprint, a pretty wide footprint. We are currently taking up an entire 4x6 horse stall mat, and it goes all the way up to the ceiling. Now, I use this often, but when you're trying to build out the best home gym with the thought of limited space in mind, you got to make those tough decisions. The only catch is this pull-up bar. I have a secondary pull-up bar that I've previously installed, so this is a redundant pull-up bar. I am a huge fan of pull-up bars for back exercises and for functional training. So if I did not have a backup pull-up bar, this thing probably wouldn't be going. I'd probably be keeping it on my island. This type of mental exercise when it comes to your home gym is so important, whether you're on one end of the spectrum and you've got no equipment and you're just starting to build out your home gym, or you've got all this equipment, but you're still looking to add to your home gym. Doing these type of mental exercises help you ensure that the piece of gym equipment that you buy is going to get used, and it's going to improve the functionality, the flow, the feng shui of your home gym, because that's going to improve on your lifting experience. Okay, on to round 2. And the second thing to get the boot from Home Gym Survivor is going to be equipment that you don't use often. How often is often? The reality is 2 months. We're going to put a line in the sand and say 2 months. If you don't use it once every 2 months, give it the boot. We already mentioned in this video that space is the number one limiting factor with regards to home gyms. It is at a premium. So if you have equipment that you're not using every 2 months, you got to get rid of it. Honestly, what happens for many of us, you get a piece of home gym equipment and you realize, I'm going to use it every day. I'm going to use it every week. And when you first get it, sure, you're banging that thing out. You're using it more often than you probably should. And then over time, the newness wears off, or you just change your workout routines and it just doesn't get used and it's taking up space. Case in point, heavy bag. I would lie to you if I told you I use this every 2 months. It's more like every 3 or 4 months. I got this for free, the heavy bag, and that's part of the reason it stayed in my home gym. And the only reason it hasn't gotten the boot for me physically is the fact that it is kitty cornered and actually doesn't take up much space because it's hanging up high. And the third thing to get the flame snubbed out of it with regards to Home Gym Survivor is actually going to be duplicates. I know that's hard to believe for many of you who are still kind of building your home gym, but what happens is, especially if you're buying used, or if you're just a person that can't pass up a good deal online or a Black Friday sale, or you're just filling out your birthday list and people just happen to get you double stuff of what you might want, before you know it, you get stuff that is duplicates or really close. And a case in point, these sandbags. A year ago today, I didn't have sandbag 1. I didn't have any sandbags. I now have 3 sandbags. And even though I use sandbags, at least once a week. I don't use 3 of them. Now, thankfully, they are different weights, which is good for different types of exercises. But I would lie to you to say I use these 3 sandbags regularly. I oftentimes will just use one, and it just gets the job done. I could easily get rid of duplicates to free up some space. And again, space is going to be a constant theme on this video because it's such a premium for many of us. I know you've seen people with garages that look like they've got like $80,000 gyms, and that's all well and good. But I know for Joe Schmo, most of us, we don't even have a whole basement. I'm really lucky to have a whole basement or most of the basement here to have a home gym. But for many of you, I know people that are getting workouts in their bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
And the 4th piece of home gym equipment to get the boot has to do with consolidation. And really, this is the reason that we do this mental home gym exercise, so that whether you have a pretty good developed home gym or you're just starting out, that you're making the right purchasing decisions, not only for you and your fitness routine, but for the space that you have available and for your money. Oftentimes, we buy one piece of equipment at a time and we just give it like that initial thought of like, I'm going to do XYZ with this piece of equipment. We don't think what happens when we develop this home gym further and further and further. Case in point are all these kettlebells. These are only like half the kettlebells that I have. I kind of went down a kettlebell rabbit hole because I really enjoy using kettlebells on leg day, especially like one in each hand. So that's why I have so many pairs. If I had realized how far down this kettlebell rabbit hole I was going to go, and if I had given it a bit more research, I would have realized I could have bought an interchangeable kettlebell or 2, and I could have gotten replaced probably 80%, except for the really heavy ones. But most of these kettlebells could have been replaced with 2 interchangeable kettlebells. I was fortunate with regards to consolidating my dumbbells by getting these power blocks. Interchangeable dumbbells are probably the single best way to save space when it comes to dumbbells. Unfortunately, dumbbells are an extremely slippery slope. The stronger you are, the heavier you need, and the heavier dumbbells not only take up more space, but they get extra expensive. And the last and final thing on today's episode of Home Gym Survivor to get the boot is going to be DIY home gym equipment. These are PVC parallettes that were easy to make, cheap, and have stood the test of time. Now listen, I know you've seen it on Instagram and Pinterest and TikTok, all of this DIY home gym equipment that seems great, seems amazing. And I just watched Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I just spent 30 minutes watching him make 50-pound dumbbells out of concrete. It seems fun. It seems cheap. It seems interesting. Seems functional. The truth is, it just takes too much time. It never performs the way you want it to, and you're better off just spending the money to buy the thing outright. If you think about, as an example, these parallettes cost me, at least one round of them, cost me about $30 worth of all-in of equipment, and then the time it took. I could probably buy a pair of metal parallettes for 25 or 30 bucks. Now, the 50-pound concrete dumbbells that I just spent 30 minutes watching Coop make actually probably took him 10 days and who knows how many hours of time to actually make them. Now, were they cheap? Sure, but even he said they weren't very functional because they were so big, and he was afraid that once he dropped them on anything that wasn't a rubber mat, they were going to split and break. Clearly, you could pick up a pair of 50-pound dumbbells used for like 200 bucks now on Facebook Marketplace, and you might even be able to get a better deal if you looked around. Now, ask yourself, how many hours do you need to work to make $200? I would argue you're going to spend more time than that by far doing it yourself. Time is money. Truer words have never, ever been spoken. I would much rather see you take your money and buy what you want, the real deal, the real thing. What's going to happen with the DIY project, and what's happened to me, you spend more money than you realize on that DIY project, then you spend even more time than you realize, and then you're not happy with the finished product. Also, you can think of the Facebook Marketplace, the Craigslist, the used market has come down closer to reality. Why? Well, more gyms are opening up. There's also more inventory with regards to a lot of the online sellers like Rogue and again Faster, Rep Fitness, Titan Fitness. The inventories are coming up even though the prices are still high, but that's causing the used market to bring their prices down. All those gougers out there don't want to get stuck holding the bag, so they're bringing their prices down close to reality, and you can take advantage of that. Now listen, what did I not pick? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What would you kick off Home Gym Survivor? What would be the first thing you kick off? Drop it in the comments below. If you've came this far in the video, thank you. Do me another favor, do me another massive favor. Hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and of course, give this video a like. If you came this far, if you finally made it to the end, as usual, thank you for watching. And don't save anything for the trip back. This channel is dedicated to my life as a father of 2 wonderful children, and it centers around health, fitness, and all of the tricks and tribulations that I go through to try to be a great parent to my children and still accomplish my own personal goals.